an LED sign. Now this is the sort of thing that's used in shops or railway stations or doctor's surgeries for displaying various types of information. And a guy I know was getting rid of this one because it no longer works, and he said, any good to you? I said, yeah, sure, I'll have a look at it. So we've got a power input at this side, which says 5 volts, and there's another socket which is labelled RS232. At this side it looks like there's an IR sensor. Now unfortunately I don't have a remote for this, but we'll put some power under it and we'll see what it does. So I haven't got the power supply for it either, so I've got the bench power supply here, so I'm going to connect it up to that, and we'll see what happens when we put some power on. Right, so I'll just put the meter onto volts DC here. I'll switch on the bench power supply and I'll set it to 5 volts at about 2 amp. Right, I'll just check what we're getting here out of it. Yeah, 4.99, that'll do. Right, so we'll plug the power lead in and we'll see what happens. Right, so it appears we've got a constant beeping with an occasional flash at the top of the display there. Yeah. I'll just unplug that a sec. Now there's not a lot of information I could find about this sign on the internet. It just says item number CL153.157 UK, and it looks like it was manufactured in 2008, but I can't find any other information on it apart from that. So now to get into the thing, it looks like we've got a couple of screws at this end, and it looks like that end cap comes off, and it looks like the same sort of arrangement at this end. Now it's quite a big unit, so it doesn't actually fit all the way on my bench, as you can see. So it must be about 3 foot long or something like that. Right, so I'll switch this bench power supply off for now, so we've got less noise, and I'm going to start removing this end cap. So I've got a Phillips screwdriver here. So does this lot just slide out maybe? Yeah, possibly, yes. Right. Now we'll get this casing out of the way. So it looks like this could be 2 boards joined together. So perhaps to do 2 different sizes of sign. Let's say one this size, and then if you want a longer one, you just add on extra modules by the look of things. Let's just flip it over and we'll have a look at the back. Yeah. So it looks like you can daisy chain more than one of these together, because I can see a ribbon cable going from there to there, and then there's another unpopulated header there, which will be for another ribbon cable to go on to the next one. And it looks like this perforated IR receiver part at the end you can snap off if you just want to add more on. Alright, so why is it not working? What have we got over here? So it looks like the power, I'll zoom down a little bit now, I've got a bit more space. So it looks like the power comes in here, and I guess this is some kind of microcontroller board, because all the rest of it just looks like logic, and that's probably the pinout of the header connector, I would presume. Might be better if I can turn this round, but I don't know if I can fit it all on my bench. Just one moment, I'll see if I can flip this round. Right, that's a bit better. So now you can see the connections here. Looks like A, B, C, D, STB, strobe, data, clock, receive, transmit. Ah, hold on, I wonder, yeah, that must be this this connector here, because I can see these 4 pads are all joined together, so those must be power. I guess those next 4 must be ground. And we've got DSR, ground, IRM. I wonder if that's infrared, could be. Receive, transmit, clock, data. So I wonder if those are for the RS232, because that would make sense, receive and transmit. Right. And the A, B, C and D are probably the outputs, or it could be clock and data I suppose, for the daisy chain through all these displays here. Oh, well, I'm going to see if I can take this module off and we'll have a look at that. Right, and I've noticed there's a set of dip switches here. So I guess those could be for setting the ID of the display. So if you've got more than one display connected, you can set, you know, display number 1, display number 2, display number 3 if you want to send different data to each display possibly. Well, looks like we've got a little backup battery there. We can check that. And what's this? Sync MOS SM89516A. I'm not sure what that is. I guess it's some kind of microcontroller. And we've got something up here which appears to look like RAM. A Xilinx chip. Now I think those are FPGAs or such, something like that possibly. Actually, yeah, it's got written there, set address. So yeah, so that's for setting the different address of the machine, I guess. We've got some kind of logic buffer chip here. What's that? 74HC245. And a little buzzer. But apart from that, I can't really see much else on this board. We've got anything on the back? Nope. Right, well, we'll check this battery. I'll just zoom out its fraction, get the meter in shot. I'll try and get this battery out. Let's grab a screwdriver. Yeah, we've got 1.1 volts in there, so I'd say that needs replaced for a start. I'll give a new battery, we'll replace that, and then we'll try powering it up and see what it does then. Right, so I'm back with a nice shiny new Duracell CR2032 here. 3.3 volts. Right, so we'll pop that in. And we'll see if that makes any difference. Let's see if I can flip this over. I'll put the bench power supply back on and we'll plug some power into it now. Let's wait for this to come back on. There we go. Right, so it seems to be doing the same. So what else have we got on this board? Right, hang on. I think I might have just noticed something here. We can slide for just a fraction. I'll just zoom in a bit as well so you can see. Yeah, this capacitor here, it looks like it's looks like it could have failed because it's bulged at the end, which is a classic sign of capacitor failure, and it looked like it's vented some of the electrolyte out of the top of it as well. So let's move this along a bit and we'll have a look at these ones. Now these ones kind of look similar as well. I wonder if those ones have failed too, because those look like they're quite domed. And I think there's another one at the end here, which again isn't flat at the end. It looks like it's a bit domed there as well. So I think we might have to replace these capacitors. Right, we'll get the iron on and we'll remove these capacitors. Doesn't want to come out with this one. There we go. Right, so put a bit of solder wick. Put a bit of flux on this as well. See if that helps. I think the board's sucking up all the heat from the iron. I'll try putting a bit of fresh solder on this as well. The problem is you can't solder them from the other side of the board because all of the LED displays are in the way. I think that might be one hole clear. I'm going to give that a bit of a clean up so I can see what I'm doing. Right, and what is this? It is 1000 microfarads, 16 volt. I'll just check what the other ones are. I would have thought they'll probably all be the same. Yeah, 1000, 16 volt. Right, I shall go and see if I can find some capacitors and be back in a mo. Right, I found a couple of replacement ones and a couple of used ones which I'm going to have to put in because I haven't got any of these ones left. So I'll just cut the legs down a bit on these so we're about the same length. And obviously that's the negative side of the capacitor and that's the positive side, so it needs to go in like that. Right, just get a bit solder on there. Right, I think that'll do for that one. I think for these two, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip these off and maybe use some of the existing legs. And hopefully there's enough to make it reach. Yes, I think that'll do. That's them two done. And I think there's one more right at the end here. I'll just try and wick the rest of this solder off. I just want to add a bit more flux here. Actually, I'm going to put some fresh solder on as well. It doesn't want to do a very good job of clearing these holes, but right, negative that way. Perhaps the legs are a little bit long, but that should be fine. Right then, I'll power this back up then and we'll see what it does now. I'll switch the bench power supply on and we'll zoom out a bit. Well, it looks like it's getting a bit further. So I try giving it a few more amps. Nice. So it still doesn't want to play ball. So I'm sure there's a voltage regulator on here that dropped it down to 5 volts. I'm just going to have a quick look at it again. Because if you're putting 5 volts into it, you wouldn't really need a 5 volt regulator, would you? Right, well, it looks like we've got a regulator here. And again, 16 volt capacitors there. So I'm just zooming a bit. Yeah, it's a 3.3 volt regulator by the look of it. Because I can see on there 3.3. Right, I'm going to connect it back up and I'm going to see what voltage we're actually getting on between ground and VCC going into this board. Right, let's power it up. If I can get this slid amongst wires and everything here. Right, I'll just zoom out a bit. So I'm just trying to think what the problem could be now then. It almost seems like a voltage drop. So I've got this wire just running direct into the bench power supply. Right, I'll switch it on now and see what it does. Well, I've only got one beep so far, so that sounds good. Ooh. 5 by 6. I think that's it. I think it's working now. 7 by 6, 7x11. User defined graphics. It's a bit hard to see, sort of like, because I'm right up close to it and it's flickering on the I don't know what happened there, unless it just got the end of its demo sequence. Like I say, it's a bit flickery on the screen here as well, and it's a bit hard for me to see because I'm I'm just about a foot away from it, so it's a bit hard to read, and we haven't got the smoked glass on it. Now the next problem I've got is to figure out how to actually program it. Now I'll just zoom in a bit here. So what we've got at this part of the circuit board, I'll just switch that off a sec. We've got this socket here which is marked RS232, and I've had a little look at the circuit and it seems to come into this chip here, which is an RS232 to TTL converter. Now when computers used to have RS232 ports, you would get your lead, plug it into the RS232 port and then plug the other end into here, and this chip would then convert the RS232 to 5 volt levels, which then goes into these two pins here, I think it is, TXD and RXD, yes, will be those two pins there. So what I'm thinking is I've got a little module which plugs into a USB on the computer and it gives out those signals. So I might try tagging those wires onto here and a ground, and then see if we get anything on the computer. So this is the TTL to USB converter that I was talking about, which I'm going to use instead of using the RS232 adapter plug sort of socket thing here, because then I would have to convert it from USB to RS232, and then this would have to convert from RS232 using this chip here back to TTL. So I thought, well, we'll just miss those bits out and we'll just do it direct with the USB sort of that I've got here. I've removed the old power socket. It looks a bit tarnished at the back here, so I'm not sure whether that's the thing that's been causing the issue with the power. And there was some points here that I've soldered the power supply directly to, and these are the wires that I'm feeding the signals into now to control the screen. Now I spent hours on the internet looking for some software that would be compatible with it, and I've eventually found a program called Kichi, which I've installed on my laptop, and it seems to work with it. So I'm going to put it all back together and then we'll give it a test. Right then, it's all back together, so let's switch it on and see what it does. Yeah, so I programmed a little message in here, so it's not that flickery in real life, it's just obviously the camera's picking up all the flicker, but so yeah, all seems to work now. So I'm quite happy with that. I like all these LEDs and things, so always been a fan of things like this. Right, I had a little bit of an idea what I could do with this actually. I could get something like ESP 8266 or something like that board and connect it internally, and then I could make it into like a Wi-Fi sign, so you know, we could have it as a, I don't know, a subscriber counter or something like that even. So yeah, there's a few different possibilities we could be done with this. Right then, if you enjoyed this video, please give it the thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, please subscribe, as it says on the site. Any comments or questions, please leave it in the comments section below. And as always, have a great day. Thanks for watching.